Hey everyone, this is the best advice ever. It's a show where awesome people come on and talk about the best advice they ever got. Today we have Paul Duncan. Paul Duncan is a writer. He has a great site, The Out and Abouter. There he is. He's a satirist. He writes great pieces like U.S. guns getting recalled because one was covered with romaine lettuce, which was really funny. And I think you just wrote a recent one about a 6-year-old who's going to tell her dad that trickle down economics doesn't work.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, for Christmas. Yeah, a bit of a play on Santa not being real. This is an idea that supply side economics ain't real either.
It isn't. 30 years, 35 years of it should be
Yeah,
pretty clear that it doesn't work.
no, absolutely.
So, Paul, we're here to talk about the best advice you ever got.
Yeah. Okay. So this was a good one, Andrew. When you put it to me, I had to really think about it, and I ended up going with my mom. It goes back a long way, and it did absolutely impact my entire life. So basically, the advice, I'll do that up front, and then talk about the repercussions of it. Was don't quit swimming lessons. And when I say advice, it was non-negotiable. This was a battle for the first 12 years of my life, really. I hated it. I had an instructor take me in the deep end, try and, get me to swim the old fashioned sink or swim sort of method. It traumatized me deeply. I, still feel that pain. And I did not want to this day. And I used to work as a lifeguard, which is where this is all going. I still can't stand the smell of chlorine. It traumatizes me, takes me
Wow.
back to the spot. Yeah, vomiting McDonald's afterwards out of anxiety. But mom kept going with it, and her idea was, hey, she couldn't swim, so she didn't want me to be in that position she was in as a teenager, where pool parties and the rest, down at people's lakes and cottages, feeling really uncomfortable, being worried someone might throw you in, that kind of thing. And what it ended up becoming was I kept going because she made me, and it turned into a teenage job as a lifeguard, which beat the pants off of most teenage jobs. It was better pay, outside during the summer, inside in Canada, where I'm from, in the winter, and then that led to I got an offer to work in the Caribbean, renting jet skis, and then I parlayed that into working on day charters, all of which led. It's a really long story to where I am now, which is captain of a large motor yacht. So that's my other life. I do 2 months on, 2 months off as captain on a large motor yacht. And none of that would have ever happened if mom hadn't demanded / advised that I continue with swimming lessons.
So that's really interesting, to tell you the truth, because you're right, because water is such a large part of your life.
Yeah, absolutely.
If your mother didn't now what were the methods that she used to
She's old school. It was straight up just my way or the highway, right?
right.
There was a little bit of McDonald's bribery here and there, but it was pretty much just, no, you're getting in the car. And Saturday mornings, I was signed up, and it was, she'd guilt trip me, big mama ploy there.
Right.
I'm probably gonna forward this to her, so sorry, mom, but that is what tended to work. And they had this thing in Canada back in the pre-internet to sign up for these cities kind of organized swimming lessons. All the parents would stake out these local high schools where at the beginning of the term, where you had to wait your turn to get your choice, right? And everyone wanted Saturday mornings. So dad would go down at like 5 a.m. with a lawn chair and sit in some high school hallway to get the chance to be the one to sign us up. So she would say, your father was down there at 5 a.m. on a Saturday morning, and you're not going to go to swimming lessons. So yeah, that would usually work.
Right.
Yeah.
And how many years of swim lessons did you get?
I mean, so it started around 4 or 5, and then you get into the lifeguarding, junior courses in your sort of 12, 13. So I think I finished my NLS. I don't even know what the standards are anymore, but that was the lifeguarding cert back when I was a kid, when I was 15. So 10, 11 years. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
When was the first time you realized this was great that you were that you had gotten swim lessons?
Yeah, I would say probably when I first started picking up significant hours in high school, doing it, I mean, it was a distraction too, and it remained that. I only did 1 year university. I'm a dropout, and I started not enjoying the journalism course I was taking in Toronto. I began just picking up more and more hours, and became a bit of a pool bum rather than actually attend my courses, which then led to, what I do now. So.
That's hilarious, dude. How old? We were talking before we started recording. You have kids now.
Yeah.
What are your plans with them about swimming?
Yeah, so that's interesting, right? So Kip, my son, is 7, and my daughter is 4.5, and they've been in swimming lessons, but they have not particularly enjoyed them. And now we've moved a country, so we're in England now. So we're in a bit of a different system. We just came over in the summer, so there's been a little bit of a dip in the lessons, and I told them that it's starting up again in January, and sure enough, my son's fine. He loves the water now. He did resist at first. Daughter's saying, no way, I'm not going to swimming lessons. And in my head is ringing, but this is, now I've got to follow through with grandmother's, the precedent that she set.
Right.
Yeah.
I suppose you could always send her over.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, she is coming actually, but I need to get her swimming before then.
Right. Otherwise you would be the bad son.
Yeah, that's it. Exactly. I gotta stay the course. We this is it. As you know, as a parent yourself, we are doomed to repeat all the things that we said we would never do to ourselves or progeny thereof.
It really is true.
Yeah.
You just end up doing all those things, or at least a majority of them.
Absolutely.
We were talking about the worst advice you ever got.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. So this is actually it's such terrible advice. It's almost hard to repeat. But the advice came. So when I was in my early 20s, did a lot of traveling, and one of the first big trips I did on my own, I was 20 years old, and I traveled to South Africa, and I had an in and an out ticket from Cape Town, and 6 months in between, and not a whole lot of money. And big ambitions, and just thought, I'm gonna surf and live the life, whatever, right? And I got down there. I made some friends with some local guys, local surfers. One of them, super generous family. They took me in for the weekend. We had big braais, as they call it, barbecues, and had a great old time. And at the end of it, this woman who had welcomed me into her house was super warm, gregarious. This was a white family, I should add. And as we were leaving, we were all driving from there on to Mozambique. These guys were on a sponsored surf tour, and I was going along for kicks. And as we were leaving, the mom gave me this big hug and whispered in my ear, "Don't trust the blacks." And I was like, "The hell?" I was so shocked. I just looked at her. And, the boys were waiting for me in the car, and I got in it, and we went. And I just sat there in shock. I'm from a very multicultural part of the world. And even if you weren't, good God, woman, this is Africa, Obviously, I at no point even considered taking your advice. Went on to have a wonderful 6 months in which I met wonderful people of all colors. But to this day, and that's 20 years ago now, I think about that woman sometimes, and I think, how is that what you would impart to a young man about to set out into Africa, And what does that speak to where you're coming from?
It boggles the brain.
It does.
That's what it does.
It does. Yeah, it's truly sad.
It's weird what white people say to each other.
Yeah, well, that's true too. Yeah.
When there are only white people around.
Absolutely.
Especially here in the States, it can be kind of crazy.
Yeah.
I've got maybe 8 minutes of stand-up comedy based on one of the incidences that I personally experienced. I won't get into it now, but yeah, some of the stuff is just off the charts, and you just left, and it always comes out of left field, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
You don't expect it, and then you just are left there wondering, second guessing yourself, like, what should have I said to this?
Yeah, and what did I do that invited this being welcomed into this racist club? It's the same with, homophobic thought or anything along those lines. When people include you in that, you're like, what signals was I giving off? Often not. You have to be realistic and not too hard on yourself. You have to just think, man, I was just a straight white guy, and this person decided I must be in their club of bigotry, and decided to just unload this total turd of an idea in front of me, without even asking.
Oh, right. They just feel like they're doing you a favor.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, exactly. That's it. I get it all the time. Like I think we had this in the last time I spoke to you, working, I go to Florida a lot, the United States, and often, get included in these conversations, and always deeply uncomfortable. Over the years, I've tried a number of times to sort of separate myself from these ideas, stand up for the wrongness of them. But yeah, just deeply uncomfortable every single time.
Wow. Well,
yeah.
Those were incredible. Have you ever, now, do you tell people that the worst advice you ever, that little story?
It's come up a number of times. I've discussed it with, I've got a lot of South African friends, and I will say, in fairness to them, a lot of the white South Africans I know do not at all believe in or follow those ideas. But this woman was of a different generation and headspace where I think it is much more common. So yeah, it's come up in chats with them. It's come up with chats about racism in general, and about the dichotomy of people who seem like good, inclusive, or obviously not inclusive, but good, welcoming, warm-hearted folks with this really ugly streak in them of believing that you can just castigate an entire race, right?
Right. And you wouldn't have guessed it. You wouldn't have guessed that about her.
No.
2 minutes.
Absolutely. Absolutely right. Yeah.
I think there should be a class for white people on how to deal with that kind of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely, right. And people should have to, like, if those are your thoughts, you should have to wear them on your shirt. You shouldn't just whisper them in a 20-year-old Canadian's ear as he's leaving on a trip. Like, you should have to own that, so people could talk to you about that, because I think that's a big part of, and this gets to the ugliness of the internet in the world we travel at the moment, on your sites and mine. People harbor these inner thoughts and just unleash them in little drips and drabs out into the world. This little poison, this little toxin, without it ever actually getting dealt with.
Right. I remember when I was 11, my dad said something about the blacks.
Yeah.
And I was in the back seat of our car. And I said, that doesn't sound right to me.
Yeah, exactly.
That's not what Schoolhouse Rock says about
that's right.
About people. And then my mother said, listen to your father. He was in the military. He was in the army with them.
Oh yeah, right.
And I'm like, I don't think that supports your point.
yeah, right. Yeah. Doesn't make you a be-all end-all expert, does it? I think you're right. I think as soon as you put the word "the" in front of any group of people, you're getting yourself in trouble in a hurry. I obviously lean progressive. We've talked about this before, but I wouldn't say, the rednecks or whatever, the trailer trash or whatever, pejorative there is out there for people that are on the other end of this spectrum. I think it's a bad idea. You just group it. That's automatically making a group of people that no one really fits in tidily.
Right. Well, Paul Duncan, thanks for coming on the Best Advice Ever. That was get your kids into swim lessons.
Yeah.
Keep them in swim lessons.
Yeah.
A little side note: I was reading through the book Freakonomics.
Yeah.
And actually, having a swimming pool in your home or in your yard is just as deadly, statistically speaking, as having a handgun in the home.
Yeah, I believe that. Boy, yeah, we haven't had one today, and it always scared me when the kids were little.
Oh yeah, because it isn't just your kids; it's the neighbors' kids.
Absolutely, that's it, exactly.
Yeah, and thanks for sharing that story about the worst advice you ever had.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you brought it up, because I think that's as illuminating, maybe more so, about the world we live in.
Indeed, indeed. Well, where can people find you online, sir?
Yeah, it's still at the www.outabouter.com. On a little hiatus here in England, but I'm still putting out content. So yeah, or on Facebook, I do put up more daily posts there than the full piece articles. So.
Right, right. I've seen your memes. Very funny stuff, sir.
Thank you very much, Andy. Yeah, I've been enjoying following you as well, buddy.
Oh, why, thanks.
Yeah.
I look at your material and I say, why didn't I think of that?
I often feel the same way. Yeah.
Right, right, right. Well, thanks again, man.
Yeah, my pleasure, Andy. Thanks for reaching out.